Hi, my name is Gerhard Schwann and welcome to Selling Power TV. Today we have the pleasure of meeting with RonHubsher, who is author of an excellent book on sales negotiation, where I say myself in the back, it's the gold standard for negotiating and closing sales. Welcome, Ron.
Oh, thank you for having me here, Gerhard. I'm really honored.
Tell me, what is the biggest handicap today with salespeople not being able to negotiate well?
Well, it's really interesting. There are two things you need to negotiate well. The first is you have to put a superlative sales effort in. There's no amount of negotiation prowess can make up for a poor sales effort. A strong sales effort creates the potential to negotiate well. Now, if you combine that with a strong negotiation plan, you'll maximize that potential. But there's no amount of abracadabra that I can tell you that'll make up for that weak sales effort. So the strong sales effort creates the potential to negotiate well. And when you combine that with a strong negotiation plan, you'll maximize the potential.
Okay, what's the secret sauce for a great negotiation plan?
Well, the first is you have to be the buyer's number one choice. If you're not the buyer's number one choice, they're really negotiating with you to beat down the price of the real winner, your competition. So you want to be clear and understand that you're the buyer's number one choice. And we often encourage our clients to say, all things being equal, Gerhard, would we be your number one choice? As just a very simple question of letting you know where you stand in the process, and then follow up with why. Because when they tell you why, that'll tell you exactly the reason you should command a price premium.
So, how do you become number one?
To be the number one choice, you really want to lower the buyer's risk. And risk will come in two forms, business risk and personal risk. And you always want to make sure you're lowering both the business risk and personal risk for that particular buyer.
So what would be a business risk in let's say, in a decision of buying a large compressor?
So if you're buying a large compressor, the business risk might be if this compressor fails, what are the ramifications? What are the downstream ramifications? Maybe the factory goes down, or there could be a whole series of ramifications, and you want to explore that whole pain chain of the business risk.
So what about the value proposition? A lot of salespeople talk about creating value for the customer and quantifying that value. Is that a good strategy?
Absolutely. You really want to talk about the value you create. And it's really interesting. If you don't know the value you create, you're going to be left to defend price. And that's going to put you in a negative or reactionary negotiation position. And what I always talk about is you can think about your favorite sports team. Do you prefer soccer or you like American football? What's your favorite team?
American football.
Okay, American football. Which is your favorite team?
I don't have a favorite team. I would say locally I'm rooting for the Redskins.
Okay.
But nationally I root for whatever team is really coming back.
So if the Redskins are always playing their defensive half of their field, what's their chance of winning that game?
Not much.
Exactly. And if they're playing in their offensive part of the field, what's their chance of winning that game?
Much higher.
Exactly. And the same thing is true for negotiation. If you don't know the value you create, you're going to be in the defensive half of the field and have a low probability of really doing well in a negotiation. If you know the value you create, you can always refocus back on the value and have a higher chance of closing the deal.
So once you are in the number one position, what is your next step?
One, you want to confirm that you're the number one choice. The second step is you want to talk about the value you create. So you're not talking about your price, but you're really talking about the value to the organization and the market valuation that you're going to create for that organization. The third step is you want to anticipate getting squeezed. Know it's coming. Look forward to it, in fact. Say, hey, here's a squeeze, and you want to be prepared to resist squeezes.
So how do you do that?
You want to anticipate that it's coming, and you want to have a polite, face-saving way to refocus back on the value that you're creating and refocus on the value you're creating for that company so they can agree to the sale in a nice, polite, face-saving manner.
Ron, how can people get your book, Closing Time?
You can buy it directly from our website at closingtimebook.com, and we'll ship it to you within 24 hours.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Gerhard.